Okay, now let's take a closer look. So let's start with the global reference image, and then we're going to continue with the in-paint mask, the regional guidance, and after that control layers. So let's start with the global reference image. It's quite self-explanatory, but you can take another image from in the internet or one you did yourself. So I'm taking this one, and I'm keeping my prompt quite simple. So a cat sitting on a bench in a park. And let's see. So now we can do some settings here. And I don't want the composition because the composition is quite different from what I want. So I want the style only. Let's keep the weight at 1 and see what happens. Okay, you can see it's pretty good. Although it's interesting because in the example we have these pastel colors and also the materials kind of get applied. So maybe that's not exactly what we want. But the colors are, in general, when we compare it to the image here, are very good. So let's try and accept this. And let's try to make the weight a bit lower and deactivate the image. All right, here now you can see it's quite a lot better. You even got the trees from behind, so the same tree colors. We have the orange, we have the pastel blue, and the cat's fur is realistic this time and not like this before. So it's quite nice. It didn't try to incorporate the staircase because right here in the image we had a staircase. So now it's quite a lot better, even though the face detail maybe is not perfect, but we could also regenerate on this one. So yeah, that's about the global reference image, and you can just play around with the settings and see what applies. In this case, I only wanted the style, but for composition you can also try. So let's try composition in the next. Okay, so let's see what happens if we don't do the style transfer, but we do the composition. So I took an image from Bjarke Ingels, so we can check it out here. So it looks like this. It's an architecture, it's quite famous. But I thought it could be funny to try if we can make a cake out of it. So I want this to be the cake and 2 candles sticking out of the cake. But we want the same composition. So let's try if it works. So I loaded it up here. And I don't want the styling composition, only the composition. And here's my prompt: a birthday cake, 2 large candles, and photography, studio lighting. So let's try. Okay, that didn't work quite as expected, although we have kind of the same size of the cake. So let's say the cake is almost the same size as the building, but that's not quite it, but we still can accept it. I will disable it and put more weight to it. So let's try to have 1.7 for the weight and the same prompt. Okay, that's still not doing exactly what I imagined because I wanted the exact shape, but I will show you another technique, but we will still accept it. So let's compare the first two. So we have these two. So what's nice about it that we actually have the aerial photograph and we have the perspective and so on is quite similar. So we have the kind of wide angle landscape shot, and that's very good, but it's still not what I expected it to be. So let's delete the reference image and let's do another control layer. So this is just for this case, because I know what I want. So let's load this again. So we do a control layer, we select our model, and now we go in here and okay, let's first cancel because this is not the same size. So let's resize it. We can select the image and click on transform and transform it into our bounding box. So let's reframe it. Okay, this is good. So now we will only generate within these borders here. Okay, so I have my control layer and let's try again. So I want not canny edge detection, but I want the depth map. So the depth map is generally just taking the information of depth. So what's further behind is black and what's closer to you is white. So let's try if this works. So I apply it. I keep the weight as is. I will hide it. And let's try again. Okay, yeah, that looks quite a lot more than yeah, that's better. Okay, so let's compare it. So here was our depth map. I will accept it first. And so here's our depth map, and you can see it's taking the same shape. So if we deactivate it, you can see it's exactly the same composition, just as I intended. Okay, that's perfect.